Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. I'm Lucas and welcome back to another F1 23 League Racing video here on the channel, and today we have PSGL Imola round 10 of season 34. Albeit for me I have no idea what round it actually is because I've missed probably like 2 races or something. I've lost count, but anyway, here we are starting our first run of Q1. Now Imola, historically an okay track for us, at least on paper, but I'll tell you this for free, we were not feeling great coming into this race. Preparation was limited on my end. I only really had 2 days worth of actual solid testing going into this race, as I was away half of last week at McLaren, at the McLaren Technology Centre, and also racing at Brands Hatch in National Formula Ford. So I was extremely busy. Basically the week entirely up to this. So yeah, we are now back in the swing of it after a little while away from league racing. Not really that long, basically like a week and a half away, but you know, that's how it is. And yeah, as you can see, having a bit of a slide through the chicane is, I mean, I don't know how, but the chicane on this year's game is somehow worse than in the past. I don't know how it's worse, but it just is. The bumps are even more aggressive, it feels. So yeah, we got through though on the one run, which was good. It meant that we had 2 sets of tyres that we could utilise in the next two stages of qualifying. So here we are now. Let's get into the action, starting our first run of Q2. Turn 1. Tricky to sort of sight your braking point. You do not want to brake too early for that corner. It's actually probably better to brake slightly too late than it is too early. Heading now towards the end of sector 1, the high speed sweepers downshifting to 6th, then into 5th. Super easy to invalidate on that left side as we end sector 1 now, getting the car fed into the apex nicely. The car grips up as it rises up through the elevation. The car compresses, keeping it to the right. You somehow pick up a bit of marbles on the right hand side there as well. This corner we didn't really manage to get right once in this entire session, which was extremely frustrating. Into Aquaman Rally now, uphill right hander, relatively clean through there, very tricky to get the best out of. And now heading into this infamous chicane, and we actually have a relatively clean execution through there. So yeah, we got away with it on this lap, but again, it's very hard to actually manage it. Going through there as we head through the penultimate corner, turned in, but there as you can see, way too early into the last corner, so losing time as we head through the end of the lap, and it is provisionally P2 on a 0.97, which dropped then down to P4, which is completely understandable given given the last sector. But here we are now taking a free run basically at the end of Q2. We don't really suffer with tyres because of it. So heading now through sector 1, gaining a bit of time on the delta, and now heading into this left hander, down to into the right hander, and it is pretty, I think we're like 300s up in reality because of where the delta was, as we have a bit of a snap though through that corner, and that was just the knife edge our car was on. Like, it was so hard to have any confidence or any predictability as to what the car was going to do. Gaining a bit back there as we head now down into Aquaman Rally, committing a bit harder this time on the entry, getting the power down, and we do gain a little bit, but it's not by much. And now we're coming up to this chicane, and we take it in, we dive in, we get over the curb, but we just don't gain the time. We just, you know, we don't do anything massively different, but we just get rebounded by the curbs, and as you can see, we're half a tenth down, and there's, you know, limited errors in this lap. We have a better final corner. As you can see now, the delta's going to fly down, but we're actually not even going to improve. So yeah, lacking pace on the setup side 1000%. Just, we didn't have the balance, the confidence, the pace, or anything. It was just all falling to pieces. And as you can see, we only are just going to make it through in this qualifying session.
Because I don't even improve my second run, the car's awful.
And literally, we were just sort of yeah, struggling to find what to say because we just didn't have any pace. You know, it was just completely random as to whether we were actually getting a lap. Some of that is down to the track just being a little bit, you know, hard to have any consistency on, but we were just lacking any form of, you know, performance. I mean, that lap was relatively clean apart from maybe the chicane, but again, the chicane, if you get the chicane wrong, you're done. And we were having to, you know, rely on getting everything absolutely nailed as we turn on slightly too late now into turn 1 on our first run of Q3. Thankfully into Q3 in this situation, but heading now into this left hand, turned in way too right, way too early into that right hander, so not a great start to this lap as we go through this left hander, and thankfully the car grips up nicely and we don't have an oversteer snap as we head now through to the middle part of the lap. Not really sure what gears you can take through there. It's just sort of, you're between 5th and 6th gear through there as we're heading out into Aquamina Rally, using all the road on the exit and now coming towards this infamous chicane now, diving it into the right, into the left, and it was pretty clean apart from a snap on the exit. So again, it's just every time we go in there we're getting a different result, and it's kind of not just, it wasn't just the chicane it was like that for really, it was kind of the whole lap. The car was on a knife edge. We were so close to invalidating that penultimate corner as it's so on the limit with the white lines on this game as to whether you invalidate, but as you can see, over a 10th away from provisional pole, which most of that would have been in sector 1, but just fundamentally we did not have the car pace to compete. And we were going to have to, you know, just try and put something together as we head now through sector 1 for the final time to start this quali off. We are marginally up on our delta from where it actually started off into this left-hander, and we get a much better execution, so that's much better now through sector 1, heading into this left-hander, getting into the apex nicely, the car grips up, and there we go, we are up quite a chunk now finally on our lap. But heading into this middle sector is so easy to mess it up as we chuck it into the left way too early into that apex, and thankfully we only lost just 200s. That could have been a lot worse. Into Aquamina Rally now, sending it in with too much speed, and we missed the apex, but we thankfully didn't lose time on the delta purely because we sent the speed in, but we have definitely lost at minimum half a 10th in those two corners, the Aquamina Rally and the left-hander, the middle sector, but we got a phenomenal chicane there. So again, just completely random as to whether you're going to gain time through there, but we get, you know, pretty aggressive penultimate corner, send it through the last corner, and we've gained time again, but it's not going to be enough to even challenge provisional pole. We lost too much time in the middle sector of the lap to get ourselves closer to maybe P3, I think, at very most, but that's fundamentally preparation and testing 40 setups all day does for you. Phenomenal. Fundamentally, just not having the qualifying pace. Yeah, didn't have a great amount of time to prepare for this race. In general, we definitely missed a little bit on the pace side. However, as we have seen many times on this game, pace will only get you so far. It's 5 red lights on your screen, and away we go. We have a fresh race on our hands, and we are off. Ulas Azildrum ahead of us doesn't actually get a phenomenal start. Otis Lawrence on the outside now, so we are just going to try and sort of place our car in the right place. We choose the inside. Nicholas backs up a little bit, and that forces Otis to get out the power. We go round the outside a little bit onto the grass, and we get a move done off of the start. Jarno up, we are now trying to go up the inside of Otis Lawrence, who then holds it round the outside, and now we are up the net 1 position. So good start to this race, and we are right in this fight as this race is a very, very long one. 32 laps around Imola feels like forever. So yeah, nice and clean away, and we are well and truly in the fight. We might not have the raw pace, but in the races you are able to somehow still be able to make things happen on this game, such as the nature of, you know, the strategies, the ERS, the DRS, the slipstream, all that jazz. So yeah, we are definitely not out of this. For what we lack in pace, we will try and make up with, you know, driving the best we can, but also yeah, good strategies and good execution. So that's what we're going to focus on in this race as we come to the end of lap 1 of 32 in this race. And you'll notice in this first stint, the main priority for us was just to keep our ERS as high as possible. There's no point in burning and wasting at this stage in the game. As you can see, onto lap 9 now is literally nothing happens in this first stint. You know, it's a game of patience, as we're all on the medium tyre, I should note as well. we are all on that medium compound tyre. Going for like a medium hard strategy, purely based on track position being more of a prominent factor around this track. So a bit more traditional medium hard around this track. As you can see, the two R8Gs having to swap positions again, as Nicholas actually pushes a challenge on the start of lap 10 here to try and break out of the P3 spot, which is, yeah, always tricky, as P2 can always sort of back themselves up and then use the gap to the car ahead on that main straight. So yeah, skipping to the end of lap 10 now, you can see now Ulas Azildrum ahead of us dives into the box. So the first of the stoppers has decided to pull the trigger, and now we are gonna get ourselves onto it now. So yeah, onto lap 11 now, and it's now going to start all picking off one by one. People are going to start diving into the box, and you can hear our engineer Anton say box opposite Nicholas. So we will do what Nicholas doesn't. So looking at what the cars ahead do, Thomas Ronner and Nicholas Longay box ahead of us. So we are going to get the afterburners on. We have got DRS open, ERS blasting, and we have this big long straight ahead of us now, just to use all of that energy. And yeah, now it is a big push on this in lap, as yeah, we are just going to try and make the best of this situation, get a bit of a tyre delta and maintain roughly where we were, and if we were lucky maybe gain a position, but such is the undercut on this game, being quite powerful most of the time. Yeah, not likely that we'll gain anything. As you can see, that was actually our second warning, so we are already on 2 warnings now on track limits, and we have 20 laps to go. So I have got to focus up for the rest of this race, because I now have to really manage my expectations in the rest of this race. Not expectations, sorry, manage my focus, because trying the track limits around here are brutal. So we've got to keep our eyes focused, and we nearly got a track limit there. Actually, you can actually get it on the inside of that corner. But now heading towards the end of lap 12, we have used our battery sufficiently to make sure that we do not lose out by going that 1 lap longer as we head towards the end of the lap. And we are going to be diving into the pit lane now, braking pretty late, getting to the speed nicely, and that is us now into the box. So we are going to be fitting the hard compound tyre, and what we want to be, what we are looking for is where, you know, the Williams on the minimap down the bottom left of your screen is going to roughly be, and it's going to be
right behind Nico, ahead of P by 3 seconds. So
we're going to be slotting ourselves into that sort of little gap that you can see there between the trains of cars, and coming out of the pits now onto the hard tyres. You can see Thomas and Ulas Azildrum going past it, but Nicholas Longay also going past. So now we have got a bit of a job to do to stick within this train, because the gap is 8.5 tenths. So, you know, 1.5 tenths and we are out of DRS, and that is not what we want. So we need to get ourselves up to speed immediately on this outlap. And bearing in mind we have 2 warnings, so I cannot make a mistake here. And yeah, we were going to be making sure that we used our energy sufficiently to maintain the DRS, as we have plenty of laps to regenerate the energy. And if you're wondering why I'm, you know, emphasising staying within this DRS, it's because, you know, the difference between the outlap and then the second lap after boxing is quite a chunk. You know, the tyres are actually nowhere near up to temperature on this lap, so you are a little bit vulnerable on this little lap here relative to those who go 1 lap earlier. As you can see, cannot get much closer to getting a track limit on that second part of the chicane, so making, you know, good use of the track. But yeah, 22% energy. We have used our battery wisely to gain ourselves a tyre delta, and now we are going to be in the DRS, tyres up to temperature, and now skipping on to lap 17. We have already started to regenerate significant energy, and we have just been lifting and coasting. That has been the #1 priority, and as you can see, you know, the cars ahead blasting the energy, starting to attack each other, and it's all kicking off now as Ulas Azildrum and Nicholas Longay get past Thomas Ronner on the straight. So from P1, no, net P1 to net P3 there for Thomas ahead of us, and now, yeah, we are just continuing to regen onto lap 19. Big lift and coast. That's what our, you know, the name of the game was for us there. Up to 70% energy now, and now we are right on the back of Thomas, using a little bit of energy there just to keep the cars ahead on their toes, make them use their energy. And now onto lap 20 now, the cars ahead sort of bunching up a little bit, Ulas boxing Thomas in a little bit, so we're going to go round the outside, sending it late on the brakes, going round the outside, leaving the room, trying to turn right, but the cars tagged themselves together a little bit. That wasn't an intentional shoving, you can watch that back. We were fully turning to the right, but the contact model sort of dragged us out wide there, but we got the move done nice and fairly, nice clean move, and up into net P3, which is excellent for our race. And as you can see now, on lap 27, so the lap's now ticking on a bit, you can see me using a little bit of energy, and that is just to keep Ulas on his toes, and also Nico a little bit, who opted not to use their definitely focusing on the battery. But now we have Ulas Azildrim in the lead, and the key thing to note in this battle is Ulas ahead of us in P1 has 2 lap older tyres, Nicholas has 1 lap older tyres, so Ulas being in the lead helps bunch everyone up even more. So here we are on lap 29 now, with just 3 laps left to run in this race. Our battery is effectively maxed out, so we're going to pull the trigger now. We're going to go for it. We're going to go round the outside of Nicholas Longe on the start of this lap, of lap 30, sorry. And now we're going to go round the outside of Ulas, taking 2 moves on the one straight, timing everything as best as we can, and we are into P1, and Ulas and Nico behind actually come together. And yeah, Nicholas actually loses out. He had to take to the gravel to, I think, avoid a collision or something like that. So yeah, now we are in P1, and Ulas behind us is yeah, with less energy than us, and older tyres. So now with 2 more runs down this straight to go, we have got the lead, we have got the tyres, and we have got the ERS. And as you can see, the gap is nearly 7/10 on the exit of that chicane, so we are looking pretty good to retain the lead onto the next straightaway for at least 1 more lap. And the key thing that I kept in the back of my mind was the tyre life for Ulas. His tyres were, dropping off at a faster rate than ours, especially coming towards the end of this stint. So we had the battery. You can see Ulas closing all the way up, and you can hear he has 15% ERS. So I knew now on this penultimate lap, I just had to get the hammer down. I had to pull as big a gap as I could on this lap, and use my energy wisely, because I knew I had the pace advantage now with the tyres. So now it was all about putting together as best an attack as possible. Not an attack, well, basically playing offense, pushing is the best form of defense, by pushing as much as possible and pulling that gap. And as you can see, the gap going up as we go through this middle sector now. I'm really pushing on just to try and open up that gap. And as you can see now, it's over half a second now from 4/10. And now coming into the chicane, we're just going to try and navigate our way through here nicely, not picking up any warnings. And now the gap is 7.5 tenths. So now we are marching on, using our tyre advantage, using our energy. And we know Ulas hasn't got the energy, so we have mastered this timing here. Thankfully getting the lead at the right time and using our energy, using our tyres to perfection. The gap is 9/10 coming out of the last corner, and we can just cruise down this straight. There is no way we will be under attack now, and all we need to do at this point is just guide it home for 1 more lap in this race. We thankfully timed everything to perfection. We didn't even look behind on the straight. We just had everything timed to perfection. And now you can see on this lap, I've used all my energy, Ulas has used all his energy, and his tyres have completely gone off at this point, and you're going to just see this gap is going to go up, and up, and Ulas is actually going to be under attack from Marcel as well. So yeah, now the gap is 1.3, and yeah, you'd have told me, going into qualifying of this race that we were going to somehow win it, yeah, I wouldn't have been so sure, because our pace wasn't looking too good. But this is a prime example of, maybe we didn't have the raw pace, but we managed the execution, we managed the strategy to perfection, we nailed the timings, and yeah, we are going to be picking up the win here in PSGL Imola. And yeah, it's all down to a great execution from the strategy, a great execution from the boys, and yeah, P1. Really space.
Loadcell. Vamos. Sensation.
Sensational indeed. And that is going to be, yeah, I believe our second or third win, depending if they count Bahrain. I have no idea at this point, in PSGL this season. And yeah, certainly a nice result. Definitely, you know, positives to take on the strategic front. So big thanks to, you know, the McLaren Shadow lads and Anton, the goated engineer, for, you know, cooking up an absolute masterpiece on that front. Definitely gave me, you know, gave me the tools to win. Because yeah, we needed to execute a good race in order for that to be possible. So yeah, big thanks to the boys, and yeah, thank you so much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed yeah, another league racing video on the channel. I know it's been a minute since the last one, so yeah, thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks for the support. As always, like and subscribe if you want more of this league racing content. Comment what you thought down below, and until next time, guys, hope you have a great day. I'll see you guys next time.